Hello, 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 everyone. Hello, it's Monday, but that doesn't stop us from focusing. It is the back to school series of Focus on It Friday. So come on in, grab a friend and come on in. Get all of your girlfriends, all of your neighbors, all of your guy friends, all the your teacher friends, get everybody in here and tell them it is the back to school series Monday of Focus on It Friday. Come on in, let everybody know you're here. Hello, Della. How are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope you've had a great Monday. My Monday was kind of crazy, but we made it through, we made it happen, and now we are here with you all for just a little bit. Come on in, everybody. We're going to give people a chance to see that we are here, and then we'll go ahead and get started so we won't keep people very, very long. This will be a little bit of what we have seen before, but come on in. I wish I knew how to tag people on here, but I do not. So we will just see who realizes that I'm live, and they'll come and join us. Yes, it's a very special day. It's back to school for Birmingham City Schools, and most of the students most of the patients that I see, whatever districts they are in, those schools go back to school this week as well. So I'm super excited. It's a great time of the year. It's a great time to get a new start. And so that is always exciting. That is always exciting. Go ahead, Della, if you don't mind, and share the video. Let people know that we are over here. Let me see. Like I said, I wish I knew how to tag folks, but I'm not quite that savvy. Hello, my friend Chris Dawn is in the building. Hello, hello. If you're passing through, go ahead and share the video. Let some folks know we're over here trying to do whatever we need to do to let these scholars shine, be successful in the classroom and in life. That's what we're trying to do. We've got 5 people watching. If you're watching, go ahead and let me know. I'm Dr. Brandy B, and I'm glad that you're with me. I may have a bunch of people who are like, oh, who is this lady? She's cute. Yes, 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 I am here. Go ahead and share the video. Let me know that you are here. And we will go ahead. Thank you. She just shared it. Thank you. She's such a sweetheart. I'll call you when I get done. All right. So we will give everybody another minute because people are like, what? She's live? They may not even believe it when it pops up on their screen. But yes, I am live. I'm in the car because y'all know my children. They are having a ball. They are excited still about the first day of school. And so I was like, well, let me just go out here and do what I need to do in the car. If you're coming in, go ahead and let me know. We're going to give everybody just a minute or so more, but we're here for Focus on It Friday. But it's not Friday, it's Monday. But this is the back to school series. We're going to be together Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday of this week. We're going to do the Friday at noon, and then we will do Friday at 6 p.m. as well. Or maybe, because I may be traveling. But we're going to do Friday, one way or another. We're going to get all of these in because I want you all to have all this information. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. I'm Dr. Brandy B, your triple board certified pediatrician, adult psychiatrist, and child and adolescent psychiatrist. And through my Facebook live stream, Focus on It Friday, right here where you are. But it's not Friday, it's Monday. We're here for the back to school series. But through my live stream on Facebook and my book, best-selling book, Shine Understanding ADHD So Your Child Can Be a Star. I help worried moms, dads, and all those interested in getting kids with ADHD those things that they need to be successful in the classroom and in life. That's what I do. And so today and all of this week, we're going to do back to school just to give you all some tips, some things that you need to make sure that your children can be successful, because that's what we want them to do. And so tonight we're talking about 7 steps for a successful school year for your child with ADHD. A little bit of a tongue twister, but let's go ahead and get started. If you follow me, you know that I love acronyms. And so tonight's acronym will be nothing other than success. All right. If you got your pen, I'm going to give you 3 things that goes under each letter. So our first, and my sister-in-law Erica, hello. She says, shine bright like the diamond you are. Love you, sis. Love you. Right back. Tell my nephew I was thinking about it. Give him a big whopping kiss for me. I'm I'm going to reach out to him real soon as well. All right, so when we're talking about 7 steps for success in the classroom for the person with ADHD, the first letter is S, and the first thing we want to do is say the diagnosis. My sister-in-law, Erica, I'm glad that she is here because she always says you cannot heal what you don't reveal. So in other words, if we don't say it, if we don't acknowledge it, if we don't admit that there is a problem, it's going to be hard to go about helping it. And so say the diagnosis. There are 3 types of ADHD, of course. There is your predominantly ADHD, inattentive presentation, your predominantly hyperactive impulsive presentation, and then the combined presentation. Hello there, my friend, my classmate, Miss Jessamine. Welcome, welcome. So there are 3 types of ADHD. I want you to know that you did nothing to cause your child to have ADHD. More than likely, we see it run in families. It happens. It's a neurodevelopmental and a neurobehavioral problem. And so it is a medical diagnosis. I had a mom today who told me, should I tell anybody about this diagnosis? And should I be ashamed? Should I be embarrassed? And I said, you know, I really can't answer that question for you, but I just want you to know that this is a medical condition. And so I want you all to remember that it is a medical condition. It affects the part of your brain, the frontal lobe, that controls your emotions, that controls your behaviors, that gives you your personality. So you can imagine that if that part of the brain is affected, then your emotions will be dysregulated. They may be all over the place. I want you to know that your behaviors are going to be dysregulated. And I also want you to know that your personality may not be as what you would have imagined. That you may say, well, this child does not behave like me or the other parent. And so you've got to know that these things do change because of the anatomy of the brain. So that's the S. Say the diagnosis. Learn as much as you can about the diagnosis. That is what I'm here for on Fridays, to tell you about it. Rewatch those videos. Go back, share, get in some groups, tell all your friends about it. This is what we need to know. Hey, this thing is okay to have, right? If we've got it, we've got it. Again, what my sister Erica says, you cannot heal what you don't reveal. So let's go ahead and make sure that we do that. That's the S. Say the diagnosis. We're spelling success using the acronym SUCCESS. The U is for utilize your child's teacher. Be honest with them and work with them. Remember, 3 things. Your child's teacher is not the enemy. They are your friend. Parents say all the time, should I tell the teacher? That is a personal choice. I don't know if you should. I don't know if you shouldn't. But I do know that if your child is having some problems, if your child cannot stay in their seat, they're having some behavioral problems or even academic problems or both, it may be beneficial for them to know, oh, this child has problems focusing. Let me put them in the front of the class, right? In front, in most classes now, is relative because desks are in all directions, but they may be able to put your child at an area that is going to be where what would be considered closest to them most of the time. Your child spends more time with their teacher than they do you when they're awake. That's just the truth of the matter. If you think about it, they're with them from 8 to 3, so however many hours that is, and then they come home and they're with sports or, you know, doing whatever else while you're trying to cook. And so really spending intimate time with your child, that your child's teacher probably does it more hours in a day of their awakening time than you do. And so they really get to know your child. They really get to know your child. I've been doing a lot of professional development and with teachers, and what I've been really trying to tell them is take time to get to know your students. It's hard to help someone that you don't know and that you're making assumptions about. So if they are doing a great job at getting to know your child, then they are going to know all those intimate details about your child, the quirkiness, the things that make them go. And so when they come to you and they say, hey, I have noticed that Daniel does X, Y, and Z. I'm going to move out of the sun. Then you have got to believe that Daniel does X, Y, and Z. We have no reason to believe that Daniel does not. All right. And then I want you to not be so concerned about labels. Oftentimes, parents will say, I don't want my child labeled. But I want you to understand that, you know, when I say or ask someone to give me a banana, I know what a banana should feel like. If I were to close my eyes, I know what it feels like. I know the texture of it. I know how I can open it and eat it, all without ever seeing it. But if you tell me you're going to give me a banana and you give me an apple, well, now something about this is unique. but you didn't tell me about it. And so now I'm trying to figure out, what is this? How do I eat it? How do I get into it? So labels are not meant to, necessarily be a negative thing, a bad thing. Labels only help us to understand what it is that we're working with and how best to address it, how best to help it, how best to manage whatever symptoms or behaviors that we may see. So it's not a bad thing. Oftentimes when parents come in and the child is autistic, sometimes they will say, oh my God, I am so glad. I hate to hear it, but I'm so glad to know that we have a diagnosis. We knew that there was something more, but nobody was telling us what it is. This all makes sense. So it's not like the diagnosis is a bad thing. No one is trying to ostracize your child, right? We are just trying to say to everybody else, hey, when you hear this child may need some special attention. All right, so say the diagnosis. We're spelling success. The U is to utilize your child's teacher. Make sure you understand that they are not the enemy, and they are there to help your child. When they offer things like special education services, 504s, IEPs, tutoring, staying late, coming early, any of those things, it is to help your child. It is to help your child. They get no benefit. They are not excited about having to spend that extra time. Now, of course, great teachers want your children to learn and to be successful, and so they are going to go that extra mile. But if they could have a class full of students who absolutely get everything the first time, they would not be upset. Believe me, they would not be upset. All right, C, composure, keep yours. Keep in mind that having ADHD is very frustrating. It is very frustrating for the child, and if you've read my book, or if you know anything about ADHD, or if you've heard me speak, you also understand that ADHD can be frustrating for you. For two reasons: because you have untreated ADHD yourself, and also because dealing with a child with ADHD just can simply be frustrating. They are emotional. They don't complete tasks. They don't do the things that you tell them, or they just simply are staring at you like they didn't hear you. Well, newsflash, they probably didn't. And so all of those things can make you just furious at times. And so you have to learn to keep your composure and be patient with your child. Keep in mind about how they feel when they are being embarrassed, because some teachers don't understand ADHD, don't believe in ADHD. Heck, some psychiatrists don't even understand it. If all they've ever done is worked with adults, they don't understand it. They think that people are drug seeking, when in fact people are living life every day, struggling, disabled, not being able to do the things that they need to do. And so we have to learn, again, ways to accept the diagnosis, ways to learn about it, and ways to deal with ourselves. And I'm going to talk about that on Friday, de-stressing, all the things that we can do, because the truth of the matter is that parenting is just sometimes more than it's cracked up to be. And if you have a child with any special learning situation, developmental disability, any thing that makes them unique, then it is even more of a challenge at times. And so you have to figure out a way to get away and take care of yourself. So composure, keep yours. Keep your composure, all right? So we got success. We're spelling it, the acronym. The S is for say the diagnosis. The U is for utilize the child's teacher. The C is composure, to keep yours. The next C is correct any symptoms that are that result from ADHD. And how do we correct it? With treatment. Now, some parents just want to do, and what I say is start wherever you feel comfortable. So if you've found look, listen, and learn, which is something that I don't even know exists, I just made that up. But if you found look, listen, and learn, and you've tried it and it works, good job. Keep going with look, listen, and learn. But if look, listen, and learn is not working in a reasonable amount of time, go to the next step, right? Go ahead and get the child in some therapy, right? Therapy that is based depending upon what the biggest issue is. So if it's behavioral, then we can do some behavioral modification, which is largely aimed at helping parents parent in a way that is effective for that child. Or maybe the child is an older child who has problems, say, with executive functioning. So they may not understand what the first step is in a multi-step series. And so instead of doing it wrong, they just don't do anything. And so you think that it's defiance, but in fact they just don't know where to start. So there's no way they can figure out where to end. And oftentimes kids with ADHD have figured out, I'm going to get in trouble anyway. I'm going to get in trouble whether I start it, get distracted and don't do it, or whether I just sit here and don't do it. So guess what? I'm going to just sit here and save myself the energy. So if they have a coach, some help, some therapy with executive functioning, then they may be able to do better just alone. Keep in mind, though, that with therapy is another class. You got to pay attention. You got to listen to the instructions. You got to be able to repeat or reproduce those instructions, because then there's homework. So if your child has a problem concentrating in class, it is very likely that they're going to have a problem concentrating in therapy, and then therefore whatever coping skills it is that you're trying to enforce, they may not be able to maintain the information and use it in a meaningful way. So that means that therapy is not going to be as beneficial as it could be if they had medications on board. So medications, the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry says that medications are first line, except in the very young. They don't define the very young because they want us to have that ability to do so. And so sometimes we get kids in daycare. You know, if a child has been put out of 4 or 5 daycares and mama can't go to work, that child still may not be considered very young, because that mom needs help. That mom needs treatment. So medications are first line, but yes, parents ought to do whatever. And I always tell parents, and I got this question last week at a school, do we not file with DHR for a parent who chooses to not treat their child's ADHD? And I've never known of that to happen. And she said, well, isn't it neglect, medical neglect? Because there have been cases where obesity or parents who don't give a child their insulin, for example, these have been cases of neglect. And so what I said to mom is, or to this educator, is that I've never known that to happen. I think that would be a very slippery slope. We do allow parents to make these decisions. She said, well, you know, the kid could be helped. The kid could be helped, but parents still have opinions about what they want their kids to do. And I like for parents to realize, hey, I may not want to do it, but I'm going to do it scared. That is the best way that a person can come to me, because then I can hold their hand and guide them through instead of dragging them through. That's just not a pleasant experience. And that's just not the way that I prefer to practice. So I don't get into reporting people for that. But it may be that there may be something else that comes up, but I've never reported anyone for that. Hello, Dr. Lish Wills. Welcome. Thank you for coming as always. I think I saw Rachel. Hello. Thank you. My auntie Brenda. And I think I saw someone else come in. Miss Karen Crumley. Thank you so much as well. All right. So that is correcting the symptoms. Okay. Now, the E, exemplify organization and consistency. So I was speaking with an adult patient today. She was new, and she said, well, what about, am I going to have to take this medicine for the rest of my life? What about, can I just not get organized? And I said, well, you're 35. You tell me, can you just not get organized? Just getting organized has not happened before, and so that's why we're here. It would be great if you could just get organized. That would be a fantastic. But for whatever reason, the fact that you have ADHD, you cannot. And so what do we need to do? We need to help our kids. We need to help our spouses. We need to help our mamas, because mamas and daddies have ADHD. Yes, even the people that are seniors, they can still have ADHD as well. And what I reminded her of is that you have ADHD forever. Some people have learned either through various coping skills. They have picked jobs that work for them, right? I've told the story before I ever knew what ADHD was. I was working at a program in Atlanta, and part of the program was for us to ride the city bus. And the bus driver told me he had ADHD. I didn't know anything about it. And he said, but I like to talk a lot. I like to move my feet. I like to meet new people. I'm loud sometimes, he said, and it works on a bus for me, right? That same gentleman may not be suited to be a librarian, where you need to be quiet, not moving, not speaking, waving, and causing a scene, right? And there's not a whole lot of movement and action. On a bus route, it was the same bus route, so he was less likely to forget a turn. And he, from time to time, I'm sure, saw familiar faces because people use the bus as their means of transportation. So during the week, they're doing the same thing. He's doing the same thing. But every once in a while, you get someone like me. And then you get to tell them randomly about ADHD. Because if you've ever met anybody with ADHD, is one thing they need to do is, is to talk. Somebody wants to know, is sending me a message right now. How do I find your videos? Bless their hearts, because they are found my page and sent me a message, but they don't know how to find the video. I hope they find it. I'll tell them when we get done. But y'all found it, and I appreciate you all so much. Make sure you go ahead and share the video too. This is a good one, because some parent right now is trying to figure out how we're going to make it. So organization, exemplify organization and consistency. So again, I said all of that to say this: organization and consistency are extremely pertinent. If you can get organized and if you can do things the same way all the time, then you are much more likely to remember things and not be so forgetful, not leave an assignment at home. Always know where your keys are, your wallet, your credit card, your debit card, your driver's license. You are more likely to be on time, because people with ADHD, they're often late because they couldn't find something that they needed. And so we're going to talk about tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, getting ready for school, making mornings better. But making mornings better is about getting things ready the night before. And again, the executive function part, it's about planning. It's about preparation. It's about doing things the same way all the time. And so that is a challenge for folks with ADHD. But if you can get that consistency, this is why, parents say in the morning, this child acts like he didn't know how to get dressed. He acts like he has not been doing the same routine for 10 years. And every morning he's like, what do I do next? And that is because, again, there's no consistency that's been drilled in. So for that child, you may need to make a list, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it sounds like, well, he ought to know that he's 10. But sometimes you have to keep him on task, use some timers and things like that. And we will talk about that when we talk about the mornings. But the E is exemplify organization and consistency. Consistency is key. So say the diagnosis. Utilize your child's teacher. Number 3, or your C, composure. Keep yours. The next C, correct any symptoms of ADHD with treatment. You got to do that. You got to address it. You cannot just act like it's not happening. The E, exemplify organization and consistency. The S, seek special education services if they are needed. Now, again, a lot of people will say, I don't want my kid labeled. I don't want my kid in those classes. I know how special education was when I was young. Hello, Miss Jancy Jones-King. Welcome. Thank you. If your child needs help, please get it for them. I don't really know any other way to say that. I mean, I've got Dr. Lish Wills on here. Maybe she can shed some light if you have a question about special education, IEPs and 504s. My husband does education law. If you'll search his name on my page, or special education law, or Fred Bowling on Dr. Brandy B, you will find the interview that we did. I think it's second to recognizing that there is a problem. She says absolutely, right? I just don't know, y'all. I feel like I'm blue in the face. So right after saying, please acknowledge that your child has it, the next thing I feel like I have to tell people is, please get them the proper educational help. The truth of the matter is that if they are treated, a lot of their problems may resolve. But I also want you to know, hello, Jamaica Williams. I also want you to know that there are some things that may not resolve. Many of your children who have ADHD will also have processing speed disorder. So things get lost from your mouth to their ears, to their brain, to their feet moving, their tongue moving, or their hands moving. It may take seconds. And so you need to know that, hello. So I want you all to understand, special education, we're all kind of special in our own unique way. That's what makes us unique. And, I had the lady that I was seeing today, bless her heart, she said, but my other girls aren't like this. And I said, I bet you aren't like your siblings either, right? So we really want to, I forget that phrase, but it's something to do with comparison. It's the thief of joy, I think is how that goes. All of your kids are different. If they were the same, we'd be walking around like little robot clones. We are all different, and we all have our different needs. Your IEP and your 504, which everyone will not qualify for, by the way, they address your differences when it comes to your academics and your learning. So keep that in mind. It's not a bad thing. And here's the deal. It's not like whatever you may have in mind where kids are all in a room, and folks are needing some special attention. it could just be that your child has an IEP or 504 and they're in class with everybody else. So don't let, as the mom said today, should I be embarrassed? Don't let your embarrassment keep your children from getting what they need. Let's see what we got. We got some comments. Y'all know I love those. Miss Cynthia Adriana, hello. She says, my son has been struggling with both ADHD and ADD for years. It's been hell, but I got introduced to microdosing and he got off all the Adderalls and SNRIs by slowly tapering. He doesn't need the meds anymore. It's truly amazing. Michael Zane on Instagram saved his life. They're available worldwide and they ship discreetly too. I have mentioned that I don't know anything about microdosing, but if it is working, like I said at the beginning of the show, then hey, go for it. Miss Dr. Lish Wills says all children are labeled, whether they're labeled as wonderful helpers, kind to friends, or outlandish with behavior. This is what I try to get parents to understand. When parents say, I don't want my child labeled, the first thing I say is, your child has already been labeled. And this is exactly what I tell them. Like, I love your examples. Wonderful helpers, kind to friends, or outlandish with behaviors. I love that. Dr. Lish Wills is an educator of educators, y'all. She teaches on a collegiate level. So she is literally teaching your children's teachers right now. I love it. That just blows my mind. That teachers, by the way, everybody had a teacher. I always tell the teachers when I start that, teachers teach doctors. Teachers make doctors, right? So without teachers, I couldn't get where I am. And so that's just fascinating to me. But anywho, absolutely, your children, I was going to try not to say that, but thank you for saying it, Dr. Lish Wills. Your kids are being labeled. They're talking about your kids in the break room. They're talking about your kid in the summer. They're talking about your kid on the phone. They're talking about your kid. We just want to make sure that whatever they're saying, first of all, is true, and that it is an accurate representation of what is going on with your child. We don't want them talking about your child for a medical diagnosis that they have, like ADHD. That is just what just makes me sad. All right. Lish Will says, yes, they might just receive testing accommodations, which is very helpful for children who are struggling. Absolutely. Think about you. You know, the adult that I had today, she's a professional woman, but she cannot pass her professional test. And so she stopped taking it. She just said, I couldn't keep up on the time. I just ran out of time. And so, sometimes you just need more time, right? I want to make sure that everybody understands that ADHD does not equal intellectual disability, right? So you can be a genius and have ADHD, or you can have some learning challenges and have ADHD. It's all the same. I'm trying to run from the sun. I think I'm good. All right. So that's that. And then the last S, because we have 2 X's. Success with 2 S. Stay positive. Prepare to replace the disability with this ability. Now, let me say this. I'm going to move up just a wee bit more. All right, here we go. We're in the car. Y'all don't have to hide from my kids. So, stay positive. And when I say stay positive, what I mean is that, you know, like I told the mom today, she asked me, should she tell her mother-in-law? And I said, well, given that you're asking me, I'm going to guess no. The reason I told her no, though, was because she was first getting a diagnosis. And so she needed to process that with herself and then with her husband. And she needed to be firm in her, be firm in what it was that she believed, be firm in what she was going to say for a response. Because this sounded like the type of mother-in-law who was going to come back with something that was going to concern her. I even said to her, she's the type of lady that you wish you could have married her son, but not had anything to do with her. And she just chuckled. I told her she didn't have to answer. I knew by the chuckle that she was a very pleasant lady, this mother-in-law. But you got to stay positive. You got to find your tribe. So there's the village, and then there's the tribe. And everybody who's in the village isn't suited for the tribe. And everybody who's in the tribe doesn't need to be in the village. Get your crew. Get your people that tell you, girl, it's going to be all right. That could be the teachers. You know, that could be the psychiatrist. I hope it is someone who's telling you. A lady told me the other day, she says, oh, my God, after talking to you, I have so much hope. I said, and that's exactly what I do. I did an article for Birmingham News, I think it was. And they asked me, what do I do? And I said, restore hope. Because so often people are hopeless. People hear diagnosis of ADHD, autism, whatever else, and they absolutely lose it. And so that is exactly what I want you to do. I want you to figure out a way. I started to put my lemonade earrings on to remind you that when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. That's what they have, sugar, Splenda, whatever you choose to use, the green package, whatever. Because life is going to be full of lemons, not just with a diagnosis, but with whatever. And so the quicker you can find some sugar to put on it, the better. So you got to stay positive. I have written here that ADHD is not a diagnosis of doom and gloom. In fact, these kids are some of the most fascinating ones. I'm going to share when I get off something that I shared on my personal page, 10 things that don't require you to use, a lot of skills. And on that list include, number one they had was being on time, which is something that I always say, because guess what? Being on time is a real achievement for someone with ADHD. That's a real achievement. But one of the other things on there, I forgot where I was going with that, y'all. I just completely, because y'all don't understand, so much is happening on my phone right now. People are calling. It's a lot going on. But I do want you to, hey, mommy, I do want you to realize that find what your child is good at doing and help them work through that. For example, if your child is loud and always liking to move, but they love sports, perhaps being a PE teacher is going to be good for them. If they are, hey, Nathan, I need you to call the office, because I don't communicate through Messenger. So call the office and we'll get it sorted out. Call the office tomorrow and we'll get it sorted out. Sorry about that. I missed those messages. There are certain keywords that get picked up. And so I don't see those from patients. So call the office tomorrow and we will get it sorted out. So yeah, so be positive no matter what is happening. Stay positive and be your kid's advocate. Your kid needs you more than they need anybody else. They need you to be there for them, to stand up for them, to be their voice when no one else will, can, or knows how to. Oftentimes you won't know how to. But that is what so many resources are out here for. So that is what we want you to do. All right, so 7 steps for a successful school year for your child with ADHD. The first one, say the diagnosis. You can't heal what you won't reveal. Denial is more than a river. And just like the river, the effects of ADHD go on and on and on. If you want to know what the effects are of ADHD, there's so many videos that I have over there. Go look at the benefits of treating ADHD. The benefits of treating ADHD is simply a list of all the things that can happen if you don't treat ADHD. Number 2, utilize your child's teacher. Remember, your child's teacher is your friend. They're not the enemy. They see far more kids than you ever will hope to in the lifespan of their career, even if they're a first-year teacher. They've already seen more kids as a first-year teacher in an academic setting than you ever will. So trust that what they're telling you is not because, they just want to make their job easy. They want to be effective at their job. And so if there is one student in their class who keeps them from being effective, they want that child to succeed, not because it's good for their record, but because they care about your kid. So believe that when you encounter it. The next thing is composure. Keep yours. Keep your composure. That may mean mom and dad, grandma and grandfather. Figure out what's going on with you. Is it ADHD? Is it bipolar? Is it depression? Depression is real. Is it anxiety, which is the number 1 mental illness in this country? Is it that you just don't sleep? Is it that you're stressed out because you got all these grandkids and you thought at 74 you were going to be done parenting, and here you are parenting your great-grands? Or do you simply have ADHD yourself? And so they're screaming, you're screaming, everybody's screaming. It makes for a bad situation. The next C, correct the symptoms with treatment. Whatever you want to do for treatment, this is all I ask you. Start it and then be honest with yourself. Honesty, honesty, honesty. Start the treatment. Be honest with yourself. If it's not working, go to the next thing. Will you promise me that? Will you promise me that? Will you promise me that you're going to exemplify organization and consistency? Get organized and stay organized. The next thing we need to do for your S in success is seek special education services if they are needed. Special education is not the enemy. It is not the enemy. It is there to help your child. And like I said before, believe me, your child's teacher wants everybody to just learn it the first time they get it. But that's not how the world works. Honestly, I don't want anybody to have ADHD, but that's not how the world works. When we cure ADHD, though, right, and we figure it out, some of y'all wouldn't even want the vaccine if it came down to a vaccine. You see if I had something wrong with that. But I would love to be a personal shopper, but that's not the way the world works, right? So until such time, I'm going to keep being an advocate. I'm going to keep standing up. I'm going to keep showing up. And the last thing is stay positive. Despite the people that are naysayers, despite the mothers-in-law, despite the doctors that tell you when you know something's wrong with your kid, and that's whether your child is not talking appropriately, whether you just know that their hip isn't developing right, they walk with a limp, you don't care what that child is walking like when they're in their office. If you know that something is going wrong with your child or it's just not quite right, it is your responsibility to ask questions. Keep pushing, keep pushing. I even tell my patients that of me. If I'm not answering your questions, pull me to the carpet. Make me answer your question. Make me figure out what's going on. Maybe I need to get a second opinion. I'm not above that. We do it all the time, right? So that's what we need to do. Be your child's advocate, as Dr. Lish Wills has said, stand up for your child. And if you do all of those 7 steps, SUCCESS, right? Then your child is going to be successful. And remember, most importantly, success is an individual perspective. Your success is not mine, and my success is not yours. Everybody is an individual. See, the truth of the matter is that we all operate on an individualized education plan, an individualized life plan, an ILP. I like that. Ooh, wait. You got to get your kid an individualized life plan, an individualized success plan. My car in your car, my house in your house. You don't even have the dreams that I dream. My dreams are my dreams, and your dreams are your dreams. But my dreams aren't any better or, less better than yours. They're different. They're individualized. And so if we can look at things that way, we can say, my child is having some challenges. What can I do to help them be better and to do it easier? I don't care what anybody said. When these parents say to me, I struggle, they can too. Oh my God, that just rips my heart up. Well, not really, because I like my heart. But you get the point. Why would we have our kids doing anything that is harder when there are solutions out there to make it easier? Whenever a parent says to me, I struggled and I made it, I just simply ask this question: did you reach your full potential? 100% of the time, the answer is yes. Is no. I did not reach my full potential. Because your full potential requires your full focus. It requires you setting goals and sticking to them. It requires you passing the test. It requires you coming up with the business plan. It requires you filling out the application for college. It requires you to actually study to be able to stay in college. And y'all know the statistics. I say it all the time. Only 5 to 10% of kids with ADHD will complete college. So these are astounding statistics that I do not want your child to be a part of, which is why on the first night of school at my mom's birthday, I'm out here hanging with you, hiding from everybody in the car. Speaking of which, Dr. Lish Wells says, come on, Doc, I'll start preaching, and I don't want to do that tonight because it's the first day of school. It's back to school week. But speaking of which, my mom, who is not very psychologically grounded, right? She still gets it mixed up. ADHD, she can't get the letter straight. But what she did was that she was a good advocate for her babies. For me, right? I tell you all the time, she told me 3 things growing up. I love you, no, and you're beautiful. I love you. Let me know that I could come to her and talk to her about anything. No, because we need to set some boundaries. That's what we need to do as parents. Set boundaries. And then you're beautiful. Self-confidence. Please, 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 when I post this list tonight, look at it. Find something positive about your children. If they always hear, you never, Why didn't you? Look at this. It's not done. You didn't complete it. What's wrong with you? That's what gets inside of their head, right? Instead of saying, oh my God, I love how you tied your shoes so perfectly. If the best your child can do is tie their shoes perfectly, you better applaud them for tying their shoes perfectly, because somebody, including mine, I'll go ahead and say it, they were pandemic babies right at the time that they would have been going to school. So guess what? At 8 years old, my boy didn't know how to tie his shoes, but I don't care. I don't care. I'm not, because that's my fault. I didn't teach him. He was barefoot in the house all day when he would have been learning. So we're not going to talk about his shoes. We're going to talk about all the other wonderful stuff that he does. I don't care about his shoes. I told him he could go to Harvard. He could go to Yale. He could go to Howard, Hampton, or Vanderbilt like me, or Auburn like his daddy. And I think that New Balance makes a Velcro shoe. We will send him in Velcro shoes because he can do so many other things right. Okay? That's what I want you to get to, getting your child to success, getting some positive in them. Like I said, my mama didn't have it all figured out. But I love you. I love you. So if you're not telling your child at least once a day, now y'all got me preaching now. Don't start all in the choir stand with hands up in the air, amen, and that's right. And then Jessamine, the first lady, she might show enough pull out a fan or something on y'all. I love you. They need to know that. Some of these teachers are the only people telling your kids, I love you, and giving them a hug. So I don't know why y'all aren't available. Maybe you got ADHD, maybe you're depressed, maybe you're worried about something else. All right? There we go. Hands in there. So I love you. I love you. No. Kids need boundaries. That's part of the reason that we're having so many troubles right now in the world, is because nobody tells these kids no. They do what they want to do. They come to school. My aunt taught special ed in Birmingham and in Hoover Systems in Jefferson County. The principal called a child called the principal out of her name. And when the principal called the mom said, well, were you acting like one? Boundaries. Right? Kids behave at school but not at home sometimes because there are boundaries. They know that there are consequences. No. Right? And then the third thing is you're beautiful. Confidence. People say, I don't know why my girl went out and did this. I don't know why my boy went out and followed that crowd. They didn't have confidence. You didn't tell them they were beautiful. You didn't tell them they had everything that they needed, that they didn't need that crowd to validate them. That's it, y'all. That's what my mama did. People want to know what's the secret. I think that's the secret. Now, she might tell you something different. But I think she was a darn good mama. I've told y'all this probably before. My mama started at 14, so she's been in this a long time. She's a professional. She ended up wrestling with my daughter. I think my 4-year-old gives her a run for her money. I ain't sure. Miss Chandra Tarver Clark, welcome. But, y'all, just 3 things. I love you, no. And I just put that together in my head. I'm always saying I love you, no, and you're beautiful. And it just came to me that that's what your kids need. Now, you got to feed them. You got to feed them. But if you love them, you're going to feed them. And if you love them, you're going to clothe them. Because if you go back and search somewhere in my videos, we talk about love as an acronym and what it means. And in it are the same things I'm saying today. It doesn't matter which acronym I'm talking about. We're going to be saying the same stuff. Advocate for your kids. Nobody else can do it like you. Nobody else will do it like you. And that's it. And with that tribute to my mom. It's her birthday. So y'all join me in wishing Mama Rudolph a happy birthday. And I'm going to sing happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. I love you, Mom. Happy birthday to you. You're growing better. You have a fantastic daughter, but she's modest. So that's all that matters. Anyway, y'all, thank y'all for joining me today. It's been a lot of fun. If you all see me at a certain clinic, my nurse Stacy, it's also her birthday, and so we will wish Stacy. She is absolutely fantastic as well. So that is all that I have for tonight. I hope y'all have enjoyed this. Tomorrow at 6:15, we are going to talk about the ADHD morning toolkits. I'm going to have some tips for you all to help make your mornings better. If you have a child with ADHD, you know mornings can be absolutely outrageous. And mornings, guys, set the tone for the beginning of the day. I'll just tell y'all this real quick. We talked about it Friday. If you listen, if you missed Friday, it was a recap of this, but every episode is completely different. I've been doing this same thing for probably 3 years, and I guarantee you that every one of them is different. But this morning on the way to school, my kids had their devices in the car. I said, turn them off. We're going to listen to Snoop Dogg's affirmation song, which is, I mentioned, Friday. So yes, Snoop Dogg has an affirmation song. It is definitely kid friendly. He has a whole album, 2 of them, I think, definitely worth checking out. It talks about bullying and everything. Even the 8-year-old thinks it's cool. So we listened to affirmations, and then each kid said a prayer, and then my husband wrapped it up. And I told them we just needed to calm down. It was busy this morning. I was still trying to get supplies. It was a lot going on. And we have to make sure that we send them off to school in a state of peace. So we're going to talk about how to make the mornings better with a child with ADHD. And I'm going to give you a hint. It starts the night before. Great mornings start the night before. So what is that again? Preparation. And remember, children with ADHD have problems with preparation. And remember that children with ADHD are likely to have a parent with ADHD. Oh my God, this is bananas. Anyway, I'm going to get off of here. I've stayed longer than I wanted to. I always do, but y'all are just so amazing. I love y'all to pieces. Thank y'all for hanging out with me. Mama says thank you so much. Jamaica says great information. Thanks so much. Absolutely, Jamaica. We're so glad to have you over here at Focus on It Friday on a Monday. It's super confusing, but we are excited to be here. I'm always happy to talk about ADHD. Y'all know that. The book link is broken, but we will get you a book. Understanding ADHD so your child can be a star. If there are no other questions or nothing else, we will go. I will see you all tomorrow night, 6:15, when we will talk about the ADHD morning toolkit, and that's 6:15 Central Standard Time. Do me a favor, share the video and share it with a little bit of commentary at the beginning. That always helps your friends and family to know you just didn't pass by something and share it. You know, when we share all this random junk, we write some other stuff, just say, hey, these were good tips. This was really helpful for me. You know, if you feel that in your spirit, but if you share it, that's good too. But this is good. And like Erica, my sister-in-law, says, good info, even for those who don't have ADHD. Absolutely. Because you may not have it and your child may not. But you know somebody that does, or you may run into, you know, someone that randomly, because people will just start talking to you in the mall, and you might say, hey, I know this doctor, check her out. And that may be the difference that she needs, because believe it or not, not all kids are treated because of their parents' neglect, if you will. Some are treated because of their parents' ignorance, and that is not a bad thing. They just don't know. And so until you approach them in love, right, in love, they may never know, and that child may suffer. And believe me, these kids suffer. They do. It's not pleasant. But anyway, I will let y'all go. I hope you have a good night. If tomorrow is your first day of school, then have a great day, and I will see you all tomorrow night to discuss getting ready for the school day with a child with ADHD. Y'all have a good night and be safe. Bye-bye.